Oh, hi! I didn't see you there. Okay, so I don't really have that much to say, and I thought, why not just get on, make something, and make a video. So that's what I'm doing today. Recently, I started working on a desert build, and I thought it would be cool to do something like that. Something small, whatever comes to mind. I'm just gonna make a new world. I might work on it afterwards and do some wiring, because I've been experimenting with that a bit, and then I'll put that up for download, if you guys want to use it. So, that's what you got to expect today. Please bear with me. Please, yeah. Alright, so while I'm working on this, I'm kind of just getting ideas here and there, and I thought I might as well throw it out. This is going to be really casual. I have another video I'm working on, which is going to be probably twice as more casual, so just, I'm probably not going to get into anything serious until I'm out of school. These are just going to be random projects I get to work on now and then. I say this when yet I started making this video before we started Terracore, so oh man. So I made a new world, Desert Outpost, and that's basically what it's gonna be. That's all it's gonna be. I might have to make a new world if this doesn't work. This looks like a good area. It's very small, but that's fine. I'll make it work. I'll probably start with some landscaping and see where that takes me. I want to have a very rough looking terrain, and I want to make it have a lot of character. I find when I build, since Terraria's map is like this linear, most of what you're going to build in is this one long stretch of land, I really try to make the terrain really funky and have a lot of character, and I don't like doing things on like a flat land. So that's really what I'm going to be working on right now, just because I get more creative with things like that, but I might change it up. I don't really know. I'm just gonna go with the flow. I can't speak. I just got home from school and then shopping, and I got up early, and that's all I have to say. Okay, so as you can see, I've made some progress, and I don't actually like this right here too much, so I might come back and change this up. Before I move on, since I'm gonna get onto doing some vegetation and afterwards start doing some groundwork for the actual buildings I want to work on, I wanted to quickly give some tips when doing this. So I have done this so much, I kind of go off of it intuitively, and I kind of look at it and think, alright, I like how this works, I don't like how this works, and then I change it up from that. But part of that process and what I look for is like, I try not to have many like straight lines, especially when doing nature. I try to avoid like squares, and if I could explain that, it's kind of like right here, you can see there's kind of a square. But we have this piece overlapping, which gives it character. Right here, and why I feel kind of uncomfortable, is like we have this piece overlapping right here, and that kind of helps, but for the most part it looks like this kind of squarish thing. And when doing nature, I try to do very organic shapes, because yeah, that's gonna happen in nature, but you, especially in Terraria, I feel like you often want to do something that's a little bit exaggerated, just so you actually get that point across, because it's not going to matter too much in the end result. And if you don't do this, that's perfectly fine. I just wanted to suggest it and throw that tip out there for those of you who might be able to get something out of that. So anyway, I'm going to work on finishing up this wall work, and then I'm going to start doing some vegetation, which I might save the vegetation for after I get some houses built, but I'm not too sure. I'll see where that goes. Blah, 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 blah. And I've finished up the terrain. I'm pretty happy with how this came out. I wasn't really planning to do anything like this, and this is what I really wanted to do today, just kind of run in, do whatever comes to mind, and run out as quick as possible. So, now that I finished this up, I guess I'm mainly going to work on prettying it up, and then I'll jump back to working on the actual structure. So far, I'm actually feeling pretty good about this. This has been fun, and I'm glad I took the time to build this. So anyway, I have this idea in my mind of doing a bridge here, but I'm ready to start outlining the actual structure itself. I really like the idea of adding depth to a build and having trees and stuff almost like it's in front of the build and just pushing the build in the background like that. So this is kind of an outline or an idea here of what I want to do, and I'm going to actually make a roof here, and I'm going to make it look like there's actually a structure behind this chunk of land and behind these trees, which is a little bit tricky to do. It's not too difficult, it's just kind of time consuming. Then the other thing I want to do right here is make a bridge, not out of, like, I want to make a wood bridge, but I'm not too sure yet if I want to do anything behind it, like if I want to maybe do a house behind this or not. I'm not too sure. I might do something like that, but I'm gonna see where it goes. I have this idea right now in my mind of, let's say I had this background tower going right up here. That's kind of what I have in mind, so maybe like till over here. And this would all be stuff in the background. And then afterwards, I want to actually do the build itself, like the actual physical houses, and I'm not sure if I'm going to incorporate them into this since I feel like I didn't leave myself a lot of room. And instead, I might do something like maybe a build right here or a build over here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do this. I like that idea. And I'll have a house right along here that's gonna be physical, and you're only gonna see like a very partial amount of this tower. And then right here, I might just, I don't want to break the vegetation, so I might just do something like that. And I might actually add a deck of sorts here out of wood. So when I do these outlines, I like to do a basic rectangle. And then afterwards, just to get into the spirit, I like to add more character to these, especially if I'm doing like a desert build. And it's gonna be more difficult to do while explaining, because like I said earlier, I tend to do a lot of art and in a more intuitive way, and I don't really think about the logic or reason behind it, which helps me to get more creative. But I'm gonna try anyway, so I can give you guys a little bit more input with this. Yeah, so something like this, and then this is gonna be a background house right here. This is gonna be background house. This is gonna be, it's a relatively small tower-ish house. And then I might do another house over here, like right here. I'll actually kind of do an outline for that right now. And this one is actually going to be in the sand. So hopefully me explaining my process is helpful to you guys. I really would hope so. I know seeing other people, looking at you, Chaos, seeing other people build and kind of explain their thought process has been really helpful for me, and I know I don't really do that often, so there, change of pace. Take it with a grain of pepper. I guess that's what I got for an outline so far. I'm gonna start working on this, adding some detail, getting a more refined shape going, and then I guess I'll probably work on decor, maybe walls, and I'll talk to you guys then. Yay! Learning. Alright, so I need to take a break from this for a bit, which to you guys is just going to be a few seconds. But before I did that, I just wanted to quickly show you guys a bit of what I had envisioned for this build. This is a pretty good example, I guess, of what I'm hoping the rest of the background builds look like. And then the front builds, I'm going to do a little bit of a different style just because, why not? So this is pretty much the concept. It's not executed yet entirely, but it's mostly just the concept. And then this is what I was doing with the bridge, which I'm not too sure if I love how it came out, so I might come back to it. There's not enough contrast in my opinion, but that's not too much of a problem. Anyway, this is the basic concept I had in mind, and so far the general process. So I'm gonna take a break for a while, and then I'm gonna come back and finish it up, and I'll show you guys where I'm at then. So see you in a bit. So this 5-second break I mentioned beforehand ended up being like 5 seconds for you guys, but it ended up being like a week on my end. I mainly focused on setting up the background buildings because I wasn't really sure how I was gonna talk you guys through that process, since I wasn't really entirely sure what I wanted to do myself, and I knew it was something I had to experiment with a bit, and it was a bit more of an intuitive process. However, this is something when you guys do or want to do anything like depth related like this, I have a couple of suggestions. First of all, it's going to be a lot of experimentation and just going back over it until you find what works. The other thing, which is really huge when doing background builds in general, is trying to find blocks that look good with walls, actuated and unactuated. So like right here, this unactuated shingles looks really good with, which I don't know if I explained this before, Crimstone brick wall, painted brown, looks really good with brown painted Blue Dynasty. And alternatively, for actuated blocks, actuated Palladium column looks really good with brown painted Ebonstone brick. Now, the last thing I want to do before I move on to really finishing up the structure of this build was just a couple of things I wanted to talk about with these builds here. So as I had them laid out before, there were just a few basically box houses, and I stacked them up because I wanted them to have that kind of messy feel. And right now I worked a little bit on like a ladder system here, since beforehand I wasn't really sure what I wanted this to look like, otherwise I would have shown that on camera. But the last thing I want to show you guys before I get onto that is just kind of going over my technique and thought process behind this. What I did here is I just, on the ceiling layer for each room, took Dynasty wood, painted that brown, and put it along the layer right here. And then I took rich mahogany and put it in the spots where there's blocks connecting to each end, because Dynasty looks odd now when blended, or it doesn't work for what I'm going for here. And then, was it Dynasty again? No. Then you get Living Wood Wand and plop that on the end here, because it has a nice texture when it's sticking out by itself. And then in the inside, I would take Rich Mahogany on this block on each end, so one block inward. And then again taking the Living Wood Wand and doing 3 blocks in this pattern, and then you just hammer it. That's pretty self-explanatory there for the most part. I didn't want to do a repetitive theme with these wooden beams for supports, so I went with just sandstone supports, and I'm not really sure if I want to hammer that or not, because I think that rigid edge adds some character to this. And the last thing I have to do up here is just adding that wood beam, which I just wanted to do on camera for you guys, since I kind of skipped through most of what I did, since there wasn't too much to talk about. But it really depends on what you want. I haven't gotten to adding stairwells yet, which is going to be a little bit tricky, and I'm not entirely sure what I want to do yet. I'm contemplating having like a doorway here, and then a staircase here, and then this one's pretty much just a room by itself. I guess that's really all I had left to show before I get working on to finishing up the structure of the build, and after that I'll come back and talk a little bit more about interior design, because I've had a lot of people ask for some help with that, so I wouldn't mind going through my thought process as I add furniture and maybe do a little bit of wall detailing and things like that. So let me finish that up. It might be another week's worth of a break, and then I'll come back and I'll walk you guys through my chaotic landscape of a thought process. Okay, so just as I said, I finished up the foundational work for the build, finished up adding some details here and there, really just polishing it, and this is basically, in my mind, the complete build without furniture and without windows also, because I hadn't gotten to that. Basically what I want to do, and the reason I'm stopping here, is because I want to give you guys some, I guess, ideas and tips and a bit of my thought process behind doing interior stuff for builds, because I've got a lot of people asking me about that. I can't say I'm like fantastic at it. I don't know if what I'm going to tell you is going to be too incredibly helpful, but I hope it can help out some people and hope it's fun to watch regardless. Now, part of this is mental planning. Part of this I'll do in my head just while I'm building, and I'll think of stuff ahead of time. Like the way I do walls really affects how I end up doing furniture. Just something to keep in mind. So I'm gonna do these windows, which I hadn't done yet, and I'm gonna start up here. Now, actually, as an example, I'll come over to this build over this way, right here. So I wanted to give the illusion that this was like a wooden window, similar to this window right here, kind of like what you would see as a side view. And it's nothing too incredible. Like, I just took some bamboo fence, painted it brown, and then hammered some wood platforms. You could probably do something a bit more sophisticated. Sophisticated. Anyway, that's one variation of window I wanted to do here. One other type I do quite often is taking actuated glass like this, and a lot of people have asked me how to do this, but I think it's way more commonly used now than it was before. You just actuate some glass, just like this, and then I'm gonna hammer the glass blocks themselves into diamonds. And actually, I need to be a little bit conscientious when I do this. So I'm gonna take stone slabs right here and actuate those, and then I'm gonna hammer them, and then I'm gonna hammer the glass to kind of complement that shape. So now we have two diamonds, and the diamonds are actually going to be the glass wall. So then you just place some glass wall behind it, and I've seen people use stained glass. Like, you can really do whatever wall you want behind that, whatever works. So that's just one of the windows up there, and it looks really nice when you have a blue background opposed to like one of these mountains behind it. And that's probably the only glass window I'll do in here. I might do a window, who knows? Who knows? I'll have fun with it. I probably won't talk too much more about that. And then I want to go over two other windows I do that are more structural based. So first, I'm going to do this here. I'm sure you guys have seen me do this. I've done it in a lot of my builds. I absolutely love doing this, and it's as simple as this. Like, right here, and this is something I've been experimenting with more, so I don't really have it down to a T. But I'm gonna take the same concept, but I'm kind of blending what we did over to the right and what we did right here. So I am going to take my hammer, and I'm going to hammer these blocks like this, so that the edge of them is kind of against this edge also, and against this edge. I found that looks the nicest, and then I'm just gonna paint all of this black. And of course, I mean, if you want to use stained glass, that works too. I might use stained glass here. Yeah, I'll use stained glass there. So that's just another window I wanted to show you. And then right here, just because I like to keep a bit of like an organic feel to things, I'm just gonna do what we did up here, and nothing too fancy. What I'm gonna do here, which I'm sure you guys have seen me do the like invisible archway, not invisible, what? Like the shadow painted archways before. And this is something a lot of builders have kind of started using, which is awesome. And like it wasn't initially like a super original idea, it's just something I kind of adapted with, taking like the bubble blocks. I don't think, or bubble blocks, no, balloon blocks. I don't think balloon blocks would really work for this setting. So I did this in a similar build where I took these guys right here, and then I'm just gonna actuate these echo blocks. So now you can't really see them, but you still have this nice headboard here, and then I'm just gonna paint this black. So that's what I'm gonna do for this archway, and I'm not gonna have this necessarily lead anywhere because I just want to give the illusion that there's more depth to this build, and that's why I might not have any windows here. We'll see. Maybe a window here. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. There's not really gonna be too much advice for me to give when doing that, because a lot of my thought process behind that is like going into the journey menu and looking up like furniture and just scrolling through, finding things that I like, you know, like cups, like maybe this will go good here. My last and final piece of advice for this, and which I think can be super helpful, I'm not really sure, might be helpful for some people. It was a nice idea actually hearing it myself, or when I heard it, but set dressing. All that is like the way I used it, or the way I used it, what? The way I heard it was in the context of painting. So these people had like this painting of a living room, and they had a bookshelf, and there was nothing on the bookshelf, and they kind of revised that painting, and they had cobwebs, they had things on the bookshelf, things around, like really giving this idea that this set is being used and what items make it look more natural and more organic. So if I had a table here, obviously you'd have a chair, but like a little bit more intricate than that. Cobwebs and stuff I like using in builds. Yeah, they break, which can be really annoying, but just things like that. That's kind of my thought process behind doing furniture. So really, I guess I'm gonna touch this up, and I'll see you guys when I'm all done. Thanks for sticking with me so far. This has been great. Yeah. Okay, this finishes up the build, and I'm really happy with how this came out. This was a super fun project to work on. I'm really happy with how this build came out overall. It's like my second time working on a desert build with this theme, kind of like this woodsy, rough theme. And okay, I really loved working on this. I really loved like this building style. It's more than likely I'll end up doing another desert build in the future. Maybe I'll start a long-term project, I'm not sure. But I'll probably tackle a different style like the next video, just to keep things fresh. You know, you gotta do something out of my comfort zone, which is a pretty broad space. I'd also like to say this build will be up for download. Just head on into the description and there'll be a link directing you to a Google Drive with this build and other builds I put up for download in the past. If they're not in that drive or in that folder, then they're not up for download, except for the off chance that they're on QceanLF, which if they are, you'll see it in the video. I want to give a huge thanks to Qcean for helping me record for the building showcase section of the video. It really was a huge help getting an extra set of hands rather than trying to do a bunch of editing wizardry, which, you know, I'll probably get back to the wizardry in the future, but it really helped speed things up. I'm really hoping you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully the new style of editing. I kind of forgot this is the first time I've done something like this, kind of, instead of really doing a time lapse or like talking over just like some building, I'm actually trying to go through the process of building, give some tips while I'm doing it, and also cutting out things that really don't need to be shown. And if you're new to the channel and you'd be interested in seeing more of my content, assuming I'll be uploading, I forgot I put that in the script. I'd really appreciate it. Any and all support, including perhaps subscribing to the channel. Shy thingies. Anyway, have an awesome day, keep building, and stay inspired. I will see you all next time. Peace.